Hi guys! So I'm back. I told you I was going to be around, that I wasn't going to be gone just because I finished up my Project 52 thing. This is just a regular video, and it's about books again. And this is the Bookish Scenarios book tag, and I was not tagged, even though I figure out how tagging works now, but I wasn't tagged. But it was created by Lindsay Hart's books, and I just decided to do it. So I'm going to do that for you right now. So this tag is about your books and what you would do with them, or what has been done to them in some cases. You know, it's the questions are about are about a variety of scenarios involving them. So I'm gonna get to them right now. So the first question is that you have to get rid of all of your books, and you can only keep one from each of the following genres: contemporary or standard fiction, fantasy, nonfiction, and a genre of your choice. Now here's a little disclaimer. I didn't read, for the four I'm going to show you, I didn't read them. They're on my to-read list. I chose them because I figured, well, I haven't read them, and I figured it's that for all four of them, I can still have the chance to read them, which is what I'm going to explain as I mention each one. So for contemporary, I said The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin, and I chose this because it's about books, I think, and it's a bit of an odd story. I actually saw someone reading it at the pool earlier this summer, and I was, and they said that it has its oddities and that it's a little bit unusual, but I'm sure it's a good book, and I really, really want to get to this. For fantasy, I chose Half Bad by Sally Green, because this is another one that I really want to get to, because I want to see how the character of Nathan, I want to say, is that half, that he's, yeah, half witch, and I think it's half mortal. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm going to find out once I get to it. And I like fantasy, actually. I just don't have a lot of fantasy books, but I'll explain that another time. And for nonfiction, I chose Yes Please by Amy Poehler. I love Amy Poehler. This was on my Christmas wish list. I got it 7 months ago, and I still want to read it. I'm told it's very funny, and I don't doubt that. And it's just something I'm really looking forward to getting to. And for the genre of my choice, I chose Pride and Prejudice. I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied here. I chose Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen because I don't want to have to get rid of this book without having read it yet, and I don't think I'll ever get rid of it. But I want to have the credibility of having read something as classic as Pride and Prejudice. So and I know I have to get to this soon. I'm telling myself I'm going to get to this soon. So I'm going to go to the next question. Scenario 2 is that you hear, you're in a bookstore and you hear a teenager tell their mom that they don't like to read, but their mom insists that they pick one anyway. And you walk over to them with a book that you would recommend to people who aren't that big on reading. Now, I don't have a copy of this book, and I'm not going to put up a picture or anything like that, but I am going to get a copy, and it will be The Great Gatsby. Now, I know that it's classic, but it's still a good book to describe what American history was like in the 1920s. I think it's a good book for teenagers to read in high school for English classes because of what I said, how it's a good example of American history. And I wish I read that when I was in high school. And there actually is a question about what book you read in high school, but I'll get to that in a minute. And it might be something with The Great Gatsby. It might be something that they might be interested in. It might not. I don't know. I can't really speak for them. But I still think English teachers should have them read The Great Gatsby, just because I think it's just a really good example for 1920s America. So the third scenario is that you're not feeling like yourself and you want a book as a pick-me-up. So what book would you read to put yourself in a good mood? And I'm saying seriously, I'm kidding, by Ellen DeGeneres, because I love Ellen DeGeneres. And I got this book for my birthday, and that was a month ago, and I read it, and it was such an easy read. And I read this in 4 days, roughly 4 days, which was like the shortest amount of days I ever read a book. One of the shortest days, but anyway. It was really funny. It was hilarious. Almost every story in here had me laughing. Even the back of the book is really, really funny. I can't, and it's something you have to, it's something you have to read. And if you ever find a copy of this, it's so funny. It's one of the funniest books I've ever read, and I, I would read this again. I would read it again if I ever needed to be in a good mood like that, because it was hilarious. So the fourth scenario is you go back in time for a day to your teenage years. What book would you most likely be reading? And this is what I was talking about with the book I read in high school. And I was reading The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. When I was in high school, I would go after school. The library would be open for like another 45 minutes, and I would go and I would sit there and read. I would read this, and I was reading the sequel. If I wasn't doing homework, that is. But I was reading this when I was in high school in the library or on the campus somewhere, and it's embarrassing, but to know that I've read this. But it was when I was in high school, so it was 10 years ago. It was 10 years ago, and yeah, I'm gonna move on. Okay, the fifth scenario is that your friend surprises you with a 4-day trip, and you have an hour to pack. And which book do you read on your trip? And I figured a travel book, or not a travel book. I don't mean like Fodor's travel book, but I mean a book that takes place in another place other than your home. And I picked The Last Song, which takes place in North Carolina, and it's one of the Carolinas. Nicholas Sparks' books usually take place in the Carolinas. And I said this one because it's a good summer book, so it's like a good travel book, you know. And I 4 days in North Carolina might not be bad, but I would be reading this if I was. Just because I'm assuming the question is talking about summer, not it taking place in summer, because that's a common road trip or vacation season, and I would be reading a summary of books. That's why I choose The Last Song. So the sixth scenario is that your house has been robbed. But don't worry, because everything is safe, but the bookshelf has been raided. So what book do you really hope is safe? I say enough how much I love this book, because if you've seen enough of my videos, you know I love this book. This Is Where I Leave You by Jonathan Traubert. This was amazing. I've said so much about why I love this book, and there's just a lot to it. The character of Judd was awesome because, well, I wouldn't say awesome. What I'm saying is awesome is how much I relate to him. He's a bit of a sad character, but I still loved him. I still related to him. I loved the story, and the movie was really good too. And I would really, really hope that this copy of my book would be safe if any case like that ever happened, because I just love it, and I can't talk enough about how much I love it. This is definitely not the first time. This is probably the 10th or 11th time. It's been a lot that I've featured this book, and every time I did, I want to rave about it, but I don't want to go on too much longer because there's just so much to say. So I'm gonna go to the last one. So the last scenario is number 7. It's that your friend borrows a book and returns it in awful condition. Do you A, just pretend you didn't notice, B, ask them to purchase another copy, or C, secretly do the same to some of their books? And I actually did lend my copy of Paper Towns out to someone. I've lent books to my parents before, but this is but I lent Paper Towns to a friend of mine a few days ago, and I'm hoping it comes back and at least in a good condition. And I would just pretend I didn't notice, because I actually have gotten books where the covers might have been, because one of my books has a bit of a dent in it that I was like that when I got it, and I in my head I was like, why did you do this? It was mine. Why did you do that to my book? But I just told them, oh, it's fine, don't worry about it. And I would just pretend I didn't notice. I'm not gonna actually go have it tell them to get me a new copy of a book, and I'm not gonna. I don't have the bravery to. I don't have the bravery to do something like that to their books because I don't like destroying books. Why would I want to do that to someone else's? You know. So I would just pretend I didn't notice. So that was the Bookish Scenarios book tag, and it was created by Lindsay Hart's Books. And her videos down there in the description as well as all those scenarios. So I hope to see you around. I'll still be around, and I hope you subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.